Today I'm going to show you how to make these really cute Christmas trees made out of foam cones. So if you want to make this, you'll need 3 different size cones, and I'm going to show you individually how to make each of them since they're very distinctly different from each other. Okay, so the first tree I'm going to demonstrate is my tallest tree, which is a 3.8 by 11.9 inches cone. I'm using a Chenille yarn. I decided to use the thicker yarn instead of the thinner one that I've shown in the past with my gnomes. I just think it'll look better as the tree. I'm going to use tacky glue, and I have a little sponge that I'm going to smooth out the glue to even it out as I go along. And then I found these really great Christmas packets of beads, and so I picked up 2 of them that I'm going to use as decoration for on the trees. But I thought these were really cute, and they were on sale at Michael's in the jewelry section. So the first thing you need to do, and I work in sections, I start at the bottom of the base of the tree, and you just want to put the glue around the tree, and you're going to work your way up, and you're basically just going to wind the yarn around the cone. So I'm just putting on some glue first, and I'm just going to even it out a little bit so I don't get any globs. And then you're just going to take your end of your yarn, which I had, now I can't find. There it is. And just start at the one end and just spin your cone around and glue it to the cone. Once you get it started, it works pretty fast. And you're just going to spin it around. Once you run out of glue, you're just going to glue some more and just continue until you go all the way up the cone. Okay, so now I've completely wrapped my cone, and I wrapped it all the way up to the top. So now I've decided to decorate. I'm going to use a piece of burgundy yarn that I have. So I'm just going to put a dab of glue at the very top, and I'm going to secure that at the top. And then I'm just going to wrap this around. And I'm not going to glue it because it's just decoration, but I'm going to wrap it around the cone as my garland. And then once you get it to the bottom, you can secure it underneath with another dab of glue. All right, so then after you've attached your garland, then you're just going to do a little dot of hot glue, and you're going to attach your silver balls just randomly around the tree. So once I've added the silver balls, I also found in that same pack these little angels. So I'm just going to randomly also glue the angels on with the hot glue as well. Okay, so for my second cone, I got a cone a little bit smaller than the first one. Some fabric that I had already, but any fabric from the fabric store, your tacky glue, the foam sponge, and a traced out pattern. Now the key to putting the fabric on the cone is you want your pattern to go in a circle, because when you wrap it around, that way it fits the cone. So how you actually do that is place your cone on a piece of paper, roll up the paper, and then take your pencil and just trace the paper and then cut off the excess. And that's how you get the shape of your cone. And so what I'm going to do is I have a little extra here because I'm going to fold my fabric over to give it a clean edge. So I'm going to wrap the fabric and then I'm going to wrap it over and fold it so that it has a nice clean edge. So make yourself a paper pattern, have the top a little bit extra so that you can push the fabric over the top and so that it's flush on the bottom. So once you get your paper pattern, then what you want to do is put it over your fabric and trace it out. And again, just like with paper, you want to see which way your pattern is going. You want to make sure when you trace it that it's going in the right direction. So in this case, this is like squares. I want my squares like this. So I'm going to trace my pattern so that it shows that. So I always trace on the back of the fabric so that it doesn't get any lines. So just put your paper over, trace your pattern, and cut it out. Okay, so your next step, and I would have used a spray glue for this, but my spray glue isn't working correctly, so I'm gonna have to use the tacky glue. But basically, spray glue, tacky glue, whichever you wanna use, not hot glue, because hot glue melts the foam, is you wanna spread glue all over the cone, and then you're going to wrap it up with your fabric. So I'm gonna go ahead and with my sponge, spread out the tacky glue on the cone. Okay, now that I have glue all over my cone, I'm just gonna place it down on the edge of my fabric and center it. And then I'm just gonna wrap the fabric around the cone, making sure to smooth it out really good so it's nice and smooth. And then I'm gonna wrap the other side around. You just wanna make sure you get all the wrinkles out of it. And then what I'm gonna do, I have this edge here, I'm gonna fold this over and I'm gonna run a bead of glue along it and fold it over. So once you've glued your seam up the side, then all I did was push the fabric down on the top and my glue's not coming out, and just basically put a dab of glue and fold it over so that it covers the top. Okay, so for this one, I'm gonna decorate it by using 2 different size pearls. I have a small and a large, and I got them from the same container that I got the silver balls and the angels for the other tray. And so I'm just gonna randomly hot glue them to the fabric. So you just randomly put balls around the tree, small and large. And then I'm going to put one on the top. Okay, so my last Christmas tree, I'm using the smallest of the 3 size cones, and 1 piece of felt, your tacky glue, and your hot glue gun, and I'm using the same packet of beads. This time I'm going to use the crystal beads. So the first thing you want to do is create a petal shape out of cardboard so you can reuse it as your stencil. And you want to cut out a whole bunch of the petal shape out of felt. And you're just going to glue each of these down with your tacky glue, starting at the bottom. And I leave just a little bit down at the bottom so your petals come out at the bottom. So you're basically just gonna glue each of these down around the circle. So you're gonna form one layer around the bottom. And the next one that goes on, you're just going to have it touching. And don't worry about if you see a little bit of that, because your next group of petals will cover that. All right, so now my first row is done. I used 7 petals around. Now my second row, I'm going to just put right between the first and see how it covers the white. So my first row, I only glued the top because this is going to sit on the bottom. But my second row, I'm going to glue the whole petal down. And it'll just go between the other petals. So glue the whole thing and just put it between the first 2. So then your next one will go right between this 2. And I line it up, not that it's next to that petal, but that it's between these 2, because if you have a little bit of space, your next row of petals will cover that. Okay, so now I've done my second row, so I'm just going to continue this all the way up until I get to the top. So I'm going to put on my next row and then my next row and go all the way up. Okay, so when you get to the top, I just created a little circle piece of felt that I'm going to glue to the top of the tree before I put on my last layer of petals. Now my top petals, as you notice, I've overlapped them ever so slightly. All the other ones I did not, but the top one I overlapped a little bit just to cover everything up at the top nicely. Okay, so now I'm again going to use the hot glue gun, and I'm going to just glue on the little crystal balls to the tree in various spots. Like so. So I finished the tree by putting some beads on the top of it. And just so you know, this size tree took a little bit more than 1 piece of felt. So if you want to do this tree, buy 2 pieces of felt. I thought I could do it just with 1, but I actually needed 2. So if this is your first time watching, welcome, and please don't forget to subscribe. If you want to receive future notification of posts, hit the bell. And if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.